Hello and welcome to my insanity. I'm Kendra and I'm here with Boy Scout Barry, and we are going to show you one of our latest craziest projects. I've had a lot of readers ever since I posted about my son's 6th robot birthday party, wondering how on earth we made our 3D robot cake and how it stood up. And it was actually, the cake itself was pretty simple because of our super duper top secret 3D cake stand that I'd like to take the credit for the idea of, while Boy Scout Barry came up with the design for. So I'm going to let him explain to you the design and show you actually what this cake stand looked like. Here he is.
I like to keep it simple. I also like to go for something that's got materials that you can go down to Home Depot or Lowe's and pick up for, under 10 bucks. And that's pretty much what we came up with. Here's a completed version right here. It's fairly sturdy. I mean, Kendra's a little crazy. She had a huge cake on here. The cake was probably between 5 and 8 pounds. So you want something that's going to be sturdy, that's going to last. It's not going to collapse with your cake on it. So let me just take it apart real quick and show you how it works. First of all, you're going to want to start with the platform on which your cake will rest, and also kind of a base that'll give you some stability. This is just, I think it's called MDF. It's the same material that's used for clipboards, things like that. This happens to be 1/4 inch thick. And you can get this at Home Depot. I think you can buy it in a 2 by 2 foot sheet or a 4 by 4 foot sheet for a few bucks. And then they can cut it for you. I cut it here on my table saw. This top piece, and you want your top piece to be the same size as your cake. This happens to be 8 by 8. You can do 10 by 10, 9 by 9. Those of you that have a circle cutter, this stuff also holds up well. You can cut a circle and it'll also work well. However, if you do the circle, it might make it a little bit harder to line up your hips. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. So I have this, and then I make the base a little bit bigger. So you can kind of see, the top one's 8 by 8, bottom one's about 10 by 10, just to give you a little bit of extra stability. Then I wanted to make sure that we had enough, decided to put some hips and some feet and some ankles so that we could have something for our legs to lock in. You want something, want it to be fairly stable. And what I used for that is just some 1 by 2 furring strips. It's pine, it's very inexpensive. They come in 6 foot lengths for like 2 bucks. And these are, I think, 1.5 by 1.5 pieces here, and then something similar here for the ankles and for the feet. The feet are a little bit bigger, of course you want to have feet. And then I just, so I cut those pieces, and then probably the hardest part of this whole project is measuring to make sure that your ankles and your hips will line up so that when you drill your holes and put your legs in, that they will not be skiwampus. So you'll want to take some time with a tape measure, maybe a carpenter's square, to make sure that you align those properly. But I'll leave the geometry to you. I don't have the notes with me for the particular measurements that I made. But anyways, then I just glued things together. Any good quality wood glue will work fine. I use the Gorilla wood glue. That stuff's great. It helps if you have some spring clamps to lock these into place. If you don't, just put them in place and then don't touch them. Probably leave them overnight, make sure they're nice and dry. Then what you want to do, if you want to get a close-up here on my hips and my ankles here.
Your hips and ankles?
Well, okay, yeah. You need to drill holes. I happen to select a 5/8 inch dowel. I have a 5/8 inch drill bit. If you don't, 5/8 don't usually come in your standard drill bit set, but a 1/2 inch bit does. And 1/2 inch I think would work just as well. I just wanted to go for it a little bit beefier. I tend to over-engineer in the interest of...
Not Boy Scout Barry.
Not Boy Scout Barry.
Never.
Never. Anyways, but then you want to drill holes. And, those of you who are shop savvy know, be careful that you don't over-drill and go out the bottom of your MDF. But then you end up with places for the legs. And then what you end up with is if you've lined everything up right, and it's not perfect. I put this thing together in an evening, but hey, but then that's what you got. And then what we did is she wanted some futuristic silver paint. So I just taped off, masked off the top where the donuts might be touching. Those of you that saw the photographs, we used just basically put the legs in place, twist the donuts on, but we didn't want the donuts touching any spray paint. You know, the kid might snatch and eat. Mask goes off, painted everything silver, and then away we went. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm forgetting.
Well, we used the mid-size Entenmann donuts, is that right? Entenmann?
Oh, that's right. Good point. For the legs, we used, you don't want the full-size bakery donuts.
At least not for the scale that we've created.
I guess if you want to go for a big cake, you know, you'd want bigger, 1-inch dowels, and that's a whole different ball of wax. You'd use 2x4s and a great big, that could be really cool, actually.
Uh-oh, we've got a new project.
But I used the mid-sized donuts, and then for the arms, if you look carefully at her photographs, we just used a 1/4-inch dowel that laid in between a couple of layers on the cake, and then slid the little donut gems, the little hostess gems, and those were the arms. And then you can be creative with the hands. We use marshmallows with toothpicks and gumdrops for the hands and fingers. But that was it. I thought it came out really well. We also used another dowel that went vertically through the layers to help hold the head in place so the head didn't fall off, and you don't want to traumatize a bunch of 6-year-old kids at a birthday party.
Until they're ready to eat the cake, and then they don't mind the trauma at all.
Unless they're boys too. Those 6-year-old boys wouldn't have cared if that.
Take off the head.
So anyways, that's it. If you'd like some assistance, some pointers, I can send Kendra an email and I can help you out with that. If you've got a party coming up and you know you're going to need something like this, give me some lead time, and you'd probably, I'm pretty busy 2 or 3 weeks though, but I could put one together for you for a reasonable price and send it to you. But yeah, that's it. It's really just kind of fun and a real simple carpentry project that wows the kids at the party.
And their parents.
And their parents.
And the blog readers.
And the blog readers.
And anyone else you want to wow.
All right, you're pushing it now. They're bored. Have fun.
See you next time on our insanity.
Your insanity.